Hello there, I'm just doing this quick video for Amy, who has sent me some questions which I thought I would answer by video because I'm sure they're questions that you may be asking yourself as well. So hopefully this question and answer session will benefit everybody. So Amy said she was just wondering if she was to do more than one course, how does she suggest then putting the training into practice? She said, would you focus on one product and then once you've built confidence with that product, move on to the next? And how quickly should you do each course after the previous course? So to answer that first question, because there are two questions, I would always recommend that you have multiple revenue streams in your business. All of the most successful businesses have multiple revenue streams. In fact, research shows that the top businesses, and in fact the millionaires of the world, have at least 7 revenue streams in their business. So you should never rely just on one product when you're running a business. So for that reason, I do recommend that you do multiple courses. We've got a range of life casting courses, and we've also got a range of keepsake jewellery courses. Normally people do combine the two, but what I would suggest is when you first start off, focus, first of all, decide which is your favourite. Is it life casting or is it keepsake jewellery? And then when you're starting with your training, focus on one style. So if you prefer baby casting and life casting, then I would look to do several of those courses rather than doing baby casting and fingerprint jewellery. And the reason for that is because they're two completely different techniques. They require totally different materials and equipment. So if you combine the two things, then one, your learning curve, if you like, will take longer because they're just completely different. But also because they require different tools and materials, your startup costs will be higher because you're going to need different types of materials and equipment. So for the life casting, for example, you don't need a kiln for most of the life casting products. And the techniques are similar. So once you've mastered 3D baby hand casting, which is kind of like the first foundational course, if you like, in life casting, then it's going to be so much easier for you then to master all of the other courses in that range. So, you know, the 2D prints, the family life casting, the metal cold casting, and the resin casting. So that's what I would say is if you're looking to do multiple courses, which you definitely should, because as said, you don't want to rely on one product. And the reason for that is because not everybody likes the same things. So by just having one product, you're going to be limiting your sales potential. So for instance, the 3D baby casting, they're beautiful, they're lovely, they're like life cast statuettes that are real like replicas of a baby's hands and feet. Some people love them, but equally some people hate them. They're too lifelike for some people. And so if you only have that product to offer when people are wanting to make a keepsake of their baby, then you're kind of missing part of the market. But if you can offer some of the other life casting products like the 2D baby prints or the ceramic handprints, then you've got opportunities to sell to, you know, another audience, if you like, of people that perhaps don't like the 3D baby casts. Also, by combining things like hands entwined casting, that's kind of like, it could be for couples casting, you know, it could be for engagements, weddings, anniversaries, but equally, parents love having hands entwined casting of their new baby, because what's really popular is to have like mum and baby holding hands or dad and baby holding hands and capturing the palmar grasp reflex, which is that little primitive reflex where baby clings onto a finger, and they lose that reflex at about 6 months old. So it's really special. All parents love it, and that's like a really special pose to actually try and capture. So yeah, so again, hands entwined casting as well, really popular. Equally, quite often people want to have family life casting, so they actually want to capture all of the hands together, and quite often this is across entire generations of a family. So it might include mum, mum, dad, and children, but equally it might involve grandparents or pets even. Quite often I've had an email today from somebody that wants 7 life castings for all 7 members of their family, which includes mum and dad, 3 children, and 2 dogs. I think that adds up to 7. But yeah, that's what we've had an inquiry for this morning. So what I would say is, if you're looking to do some courses at the moment, don't mix the jewellery and the life casting. Decide if you prefer the life casting and the jewellery. Stick with one and perfect your technique in that particular craft, that particular discipline. So become the best that you can be in life casting. Once you're confident with that, of course, move over to the keepsake jewellery. It makes complete sense to do that, particularly because if you already offer like a baby casting service, you're capturing the mums and the babies when they're tiny. So it makes sense that you can then offer them like an upsell, if you like, to have some fingerprint jewellery made, or some handprint jewellery made. The products are so complementary. So ultimately, I would say you want to do the life casting and the keepsake jewellery, but I completely understand what you're saying, that you're worried about taking on too much. So yeah, just focus on one discipline to start with. I just want to share my screen as well, if that's okay, just to try and explain this in a little bit more detail. Okay, I'm having a little problem. Oh, here we are. Okay. No, I'm going to the right. Here, this is, sorry about that, technical problem. I was confused where I wanted to be there. What I wanted to say to you is that obviously all of our courses are available on our website individually, £145 each for each online course. So here's all the life casting ones, and equally here are all of the jewellery courses here. So you can do them all individually, totally up to you. However, if you've attended my Time and Freedom webinar, which I do really recommend that you register for that webinar if you haven't already, because I go into everything in so much detail. I go through all of the products, the cost of making them, the recommended retail prices, potential profit margins, and I even demonstrate like a cash flow forecast and a sales forecast, so that you can actually see exactly how many products you would need to make and sell to reach your desired income. So yeah, if you haven't registered for that webinar, please do get on it. Also, because there's a special offer at the end, because I encourage everybody to do kind of more than one course. I've bundled all of my life casting courses together and all of my keepsake jewellery courses together to make it much more cost effective for you to get started. So for instance, if you were interested in the baby casting, then yeah, I've bundled together the 3D baby casting, hands entwined casting, baby love casting, which is kind of like baby's hands in mum's feet, the family life casting, which again, any of these can include pets as well, pet casting, and then also some upgrade courses, which is cold cast metal, and this is upgrading the plaster cast to a cold cast metal, which makes them much more durable if you want to have them out on display rather than framed, and some customers do want that. They actually like to touch and feel them, and if they're only made in plaster, then I don't recommend that they're left out freestanding, because if they get knocked off of a mantelpiece or something, then they are durable. So for the traditional plaster baby cast, which are these ones, I always recommend that they're framed. But you are going to have customers that want them freestanding, in which case I do recommend that you upgrade them to cold cast metal. And also equally, some people, this is a really popular, the resin castings, where you can actually create a copy of your original plaster mold and upgrade them to beautiful resin colours that actually kind of look like fused glass. And on both of these courses, we teach you how to make duplicate copies of your original plaster cast molds, which again is invaluable, because quite often you will have customers where they want copies made for grandparents and things. So this is where you're going to learn how to do that. And of course, we've got our 2D prints, which is really, really popular as well. And this is what I was saying earlier, you know, these are really popular, but equally there's some people that find them too lifelike, in which case then they may prefer to have like 2D prints or ceramic imprints. So that is why I recommend that you do definitely have more than one product in your product offerings, and as I said, more than one revenue stream as well. So each of these courses would normally be £145, but if you registered for the webinar, which is only going to be available for a limited time, then we do have a special offer where we're actually bundling those together, and it's going to be about a 30% discount, I believe, to actually get all of these at a bigger, you know, much bigger discount. So that's for the life casting. And for the keepsake jewellery, okay, then if you're, as I said, if you're interested in going down that route, then, you know, if you prefer to start with the keepsake jewellery rather than the life casting, then the first place to start is the fingerprint jewellery. That's like the foundational silver clay course, if you like. And then obviously you would move on to learning how to make the artwork jewellery and the handprint jewellery, which are kind of two similar techniques, but more advanced than making fingerprint jewellery. It's a little bit more complex. And once you've got those foundational courses, then of course you want to learn some advanced techniques, because, you know, things like Pandora charms, for instance, they're really popular. So you want to keep up with the fashions, and, you know, people love having the handprint jewellery, artwork jewellery, or even the fingerprint jewellery on things like Pandora style beads and Tiffany style charms. And of course they may want to have some enameling done to actually colour in the handprints and footprints, because that's like a really lovely thing to offer. So yeah, so there's all of these extra courses, including ring making, and this really lovely petals and pods course as well. So, like, as I said, you can buy each of these courses individually directly from my website, £145 each. But because I do recommend that you have more than one product and one revenue stream, this is why we've come up with this bundle to actually, so you can actually bundle all of these courses together and learn all of these techniques, because that's going to give you, it's basically going to help you stand out from the competition, because you're going to have more products to offer, more interesting designs, and give you more opportunities to sell. So yeah, as I said, if you haven't been on the webinar, then do get on that, because again, I go into a lot of detail about the cost of making the products, the recommended retail prices, the profit margins, and your potential earnings as well. So do make sure that you get onto that webinar to find out a little bit more about that. So let me just stop sharing my screen. I hope that helps. I know you sent me another question as well, and I'm just going to check what that is. You said, right, so you said you definitely do want to offer a few products, but you're just a little bit worried because you're not naturally crafty or artistic, and you're going to have to run this business alongside your day job and looking after 2 small children, and you're worried that you're going to end up trying to do too much and fail miserably. So you don't know if it's best to start with just the jewellery, practice at cost, and practice on friends and family, and then try casting to build up your confidence. So I think I might have answered a little bit about that, is that I recommend that you stick to one technique. Choose whether you want to focus first of all on the life casting or the keepsake jewellery, and do as many of those courses as you can, so that you've got multiple revenue streams in that particular discipline. Then when you feel really confident with that, then I definitely would, let's say, you know, if you start with the baby casting, then I definitely would then later on, when you're confident, then expand your skills and your product range with the keepsake jewellery. So that's what I would recommend. In terms of your fears that you're not crafty or artistic or creative, honestly, please don't worry about that, because you actually don't need to. You don't need to be. I don't consider myself to be artistic or creative at all. It's basically, these are things that you can learn. It's more about knowing the correct techniques and process than actually being arty or crafty. So honestly, don't worry about that. I have this this fear, if you like, so many times. So many people say this to me, but yeah, I've literally trained thousands of people all over the world now, and I would say probably 30% of people are worried about whether they're going to be creative enough, but nobody has failed. Everybody that's been on my courses, not only do you get the courses, but you're going to get a lot of support from me, so I'm not going to let you fail. And you really don't need to be creative. You know, as I said, we're going to teach you all of the correct techniques and processes that you need to know to learn how to make the product. So that is not a worry at all. In terms of having enough time, completely understand you've got 2 children and you're working part-time. When I first started this business, I was a single parent and with 2 children, also working part-time, and I gradually built it up. And in fact, most of the people that come on my training are exactly in the same boat. You know, they are mums, they've got children, they're working part-time, and they gradually build it up. And I've had so many lovely success stories where people have actually been able to give up their existing jobs to actually go full-time in their business. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. It may take, you know, it may take a year or so, but it's possible as long as you stay focused and you're committed to your business and committed to your marketing, then that is completely possible. So hopefully that answers your question. I hope that it does, but obviously if you do have any other questions, please do let me know. But I hope this little video helps. I hope I haven't rambled too much, but hopefully that I've provided a little bit of value and answered a few of your questions. See you soon.